You all saw the morning presentation with no harassment, so since this is talking about moving out of Umbraco certain parts, don't kill me. I don't want to do a Diablo Immortal thing. So yeah, I'll start with what we do. So we're a cryptocurrency company. We list all the cryptocurrencies, all the exchanges. We connect to the exchanges and get trading information, build our aggregated average on top of it. We have portfolios. We've got a forum. We've got reviews, ICO research, wallets, exchanges. So anything you want in the cryptocurrency space, you can find it from us. We don't do any trading. We're more of a Reuters/Bloomberg model. And if you see the price of cryptocurrencies generally everywhere, it probably comes from our API. We work with Yahoo Finance, Reuters, and a lot of other big companies, plus everyone small in the space. Why did we start it? It's because in 2014, we really liked cryptocurrencies. It's generally a pretty dodgy space, so we wanted to be like the voice of reason slowly. There were a lot of dishonest businesses. There was a lot of potential that we've seen last year. Hopefully we'll see it again. Yeah, we wanted to give the community a voice and help steer the space in the right direction. Every community is what you make out of it, I guess. What worked really well for us is building all our data on top of data. I'll get to the Umbraco bit as well, don't worry. Building our live data on top of trades, so that means that we get all the trades from everywhere, and we then sum them up, and we do daily volumes and everything else. We focused on data quality. We made our API available to everyone for free. So yeah, Etherscan, my Ether wallet, my crypto, MetaMask, almost everything in Ethereum and Bitcoin as well. We kept costs low. So just having one person, me mostly, working on Umbraco, I was able to actually build everything with Umbraco and Angular, and it worked really, really well. Yeah, we did an email update that everyone loves. We got paid in cryptocurrencies. So when they went up, we got paid more. And we got involved in the community. So why did we choose Umbraco? It's because it was really easy to start with. I could do it by myself. It worked like a charm with Angular. There was, I think 3 or 4 years ago at the Umbraco UK Festival, there was an Umbraco mullet presentation where you had Angular in the front end and Umbraco in the back end. And yeah, it was a cool presentation. And that inspired me. There's a great community, obviously. And yeah, in terms of content editing, it's by far the best tool. And it's free, stable, and really flexible. So you can build whatever you want on top of it, which is scary because you can also mess it up really badly if you don't know what you're doing. Our experience in scaling, we now run 3 to 6 load balanced VMs in Azure. They're pretty beefy, 4 core, 8 core when we get a lot of traffic. We're able to serve 10,000 concurrent connections, so people active on the website at a time. We were doing, I think in January and February when cryptocurrencies were crazy, we were doing over 60, 70 million calls a month. We moved images into blob storage. That saved us a lot of hassle, because as soon as you want to move into multiple VMs and scale Umbraco laterally, you need to find a solution for your images, because they're generally stored on the server. So yeah, blob storage. We had all our APIs in Umbraco. That means a lot of calls, and we moved them into Node slowly. It was really fast to develop them in Umbraco. We moved the members section as we grew, and we reached 1 million members. We moved that out of Umbraco because it is really good as a content editor and to work with content, but slows down if you want really, really specific things. Then we still have the forum, the portfolios, the reviews in Umbraco, created our own custom tables. It was really easy to get them going. On a more positive note, we did accelerated mobile pages. So the ones you see on mobile, when you load the website, the ones that are really fast. We did that in Umbraco, and I don't know if alt template is a recommended practice, but managed to get it up in a few hours, and all our coin pages basically were able to render AMP. And yeah, it was pretty easy to get Angular routing working with URL rewriting. Got an example there. And yeah, the images, they were initially on the server, then with the Azure Blob Storage provider, it was probably a few days of work to figure everything out, to move things around. But yeah, now they're in Azure, in a CDN that's in front of the Azure blobs. Then we have Cloudflare in front of the Azure CDN, because the Azure CDN costs you depending on how much traffic you have, whereas Cloudflare is a flat fee, and they don't care about traffic. So definitely, if you have a website with a lot of images, put Cloudflare in front of it, because it will save you a lot of money. As you can see, this is some stats from this month. It was much crazier in January and February when everybody was happy about cryptocurrency. So we're doing 200 to 300 terabytes of data, and this is mostly JSON, PNGs. Then our API, we first developed it in Umbraco, really simple, just content item for every documentation. We did it with macros, which is probably not the best way to do it, but then I could use the macro inside both the page where I wanted to load the API and inside a general path for the API. It worked nicely. It worked with Angular really well. And up to 1,000 calls, we were serving them from Umbraco really well, but it started to slow down our full website just because everyone was using the API. And I didn't want people using the API to slow down our user experience on the website. So we moved it into Node. We had experience with Node because most of our infrastructure is built on Node.js. I looked at creating it and doing it in C# when we started the website, but it would have been so much more expensive. So yeah, microservices, all the exchanges. So the bottom bits here are our exchange connections. Then data goes through to Redis and Postgres. Then there's API on top of it, and then Umbraco that uses the API. And WebDB is basically the Azure SQL. So slowly moving things out actually sped Umbraco up a lot. Definitely, if you're doing an API, use it on your service, use it everywhere, because then you will care about the quality. Because if the API doesn't work, your website doesn't work. So that worked really well for us. Multiple cloud providers, depending on who you work with. So if you have financial clients that want data reliability, Azure can only give you 99.98, I think, if you use their load balanced and fault-tolerant machines, so you're pretty much paying double. We also went with OVH, which is another cloud hosting provider. So we have everything running in both Azure and OVH. And if one goes down, we can easily flip to the other. Try to use the best tools for the job you're doing. So just because your website is in Umbraco, you don't have to use C# everywhere. Use things as I guess, use the best tool for the job. So if you want caching, use Redis. If you want database, maybe MS SQL is not the best thing for a lot of queries. Maybe you want to look at MySQL or Postgres or any other tools. So don't be afraid to experiment. This has been my experience, at least, with stitching together multiple technologies. It can go badly, but it can also work really well. If you're doing an API, stateless endpoints work really well. As a business, always use the cloud. If you're starting as a startup, none of this would have been possible if I had to actually build the hardware myself. And don't be afraid to use existing functionality. On the API, generally, as we moved it out of Umbraco, we grew from 1,000 calls per hour to 180 million calls per hour, which is crazy. We generally didn't have much downtime. Yeah, we were getting 50,000 calls per second, and we were able to scale the Node servers a lot cheaper because Node basically doesn't need all the Windows stack to run. You can run a Node virtual machine on £8 a month, pretty much. So it saves us a lot of cost. We use Redis and Postgres for caching the data, store stuff in memory as well. So if somebody asks for what the price of Bitcoin is and I have it in cache, then I return it directly from the memory. If somebody comes after the cache expires, then you create a queue. Everyone waits until you get it from Redis or wherever your data store is, and then you serve everyone like that, and it worked really well. And also TCP messages in between our servers. So rather than trying to get all the data all the time from the central store, have them talking to each other worked really well, especially for generally rate limiting and all of that stuff. The member accounts, we had them in Umbraco. It worked really well. I got everything done in under a week in 2015. It was great to figure out which fields we needed, because you can easily just add another field to your member type declaration. It was really easy to do Facebook and Google logins. This was way before they got added to core and things changed. So this was 2014, 2015. Yeah, we had all the account-related emails in content nodes. So every email, the password reset email, was a content item that editors could go in and, hey, actually I want to change my password reset email to say different things. They were able to go in, but it got pretty expensive because it had to do a lot of joins. It was hard to get different sorts of fields from the users. It's just the way Umbraco is structured for flexibility. So it's not a bad thing, but it got really expensive. So the way we did it, we moved out by moving everything to Node again, because we had experience with the API to scale it. Redis, Postgres, and Elasticsearch for users. So they're both in Redis and Postgres. If you read the user, you read it from Redis generally. Postgres is more for stats and other things. And then Elasticsearch to search for usernames and all the stuff you need. Umbraco works as a proxy, so I've got some code down there. It's basically, in the back end, we pretty much kept the same logic as getting a member from Umbraco, but we changed it to get logged in member from API. It returns kind of the same thing. And all it does, it passes it to our API servers. So the user comes to Umbraco. Umbraco then goes, ooh, I need to get this user data from somewhere, goes to our API server and returns it. We could have had Umbraco talk to Redis and get the data from the user that way, but then we'd have to implement rate limits in Umbraco and all the stuff we have already in Node. So we went with this solution. Migrating users was fun, especially because of the hashed password. I think that one line of code took me a day or two to figure out exactly how it works and how to migrate it from C# to Node, because Windows is using UTF 16 LE. So this is basically because all the users' passwords were hashed, so there was no way to move the passwords over and let them log in without asking them to reset their passwords. So what we did is we moved the hash over and we implemented the same logic for verifying, and as soon as they were verified, as soon as they gave me their password and I was able to verify it, I then rehashed the password with a new hashing algorithm. It worked well. Then daily updates and affiliate emails, we had them in Umbraco to start with. It was really easy. Content, document type, template structure, have the template, build the email, then you have access to both the email as an email, and magically you also have a web version of your email. And we were using Umbraco to send them in the back end. And that was, as we scaled to 1 million users, it got pretty slow. So then we still kept Umbraco as the content creation for the email, because it's really good at content creation. But we moved all the sending of the email and talking to all APIs, external APIs to send the emails. We moved it to Node, again, because our team had experience with that. And yeah, the page already exists in Umbraco, so you can do the nice thing where you say, oh, show me a web version, because it looks weird in the email, and it's still an Umbraco content item. The DDoS and spam, this was fun as we scaled. This is still, we've got a lot of solutions in Umbraco for this. So as we grew and our website became popular, people started to just create spam accounts to say, okay, buy this coin or buy this coin or sell that coin. And it was, and also for reviews to make things like apps or wallets or exchanges, make them look better. So they started creating a lot of accounts, and we had like 3 stages slowly throughout, I guess from 2015 to last year. It was just small at the beginning. Somebody would create an account and then start posting a lot of links. Then that was easy to deal with because we had mods and admins, and they were able to delete the things that shouldn't be there. Then they started automatically posting, so we added rate limits and IP limits and username limits, and then they started automating the account creation and posting. So we added some cool-off period between posting links. You need to have a certain amount of points before you can post links. I spent a lot of time on this because, I don't know, it's really easy to take it for granted when you see it done by Facebook or Twitter. Oh, they deal with spam. But if you have to build it yourself, it's actually really, really complicated, and it gets pretty messy. So it might sound really good to have a social side to your website, but definitely consider it before you do it, because it will create a lot of issues down the line. I was going to talk a bit about our infrastructure outside of Umbraco, because besides the front, so everything's served by Umbraco. All our Angular, all our pages, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the background where we actually get the things from exchanges. This was just to give you an idea of scale. So we have 300 virtual machines running Node latest version. So on the security side, we're doing quite okay. We've got 45 streaming servers running Socket.io. So when you land on our website, you start streaming prices from everywhere, and they're handling 20 to 40,000 unique connections, and that was quite easy to scale. We've got 25 API servers. All of these big numbers started with one. There was one of each, and I was like, yes, we've got something that works, and slowly migrating out of it. I guess my big takeaway from all of this is, don't do one of each, do 2 of each, because it will be much easier to scale when you need 4 or 6 or 8. So prepare when you're building stuff. Just make sure it's load balanced. It's really easy to plan that way as long as you know you're going that way. Yeah, the streaming servers, the Angular, Node, Socket.io, and Redis, load balanced. Really cheap machines, 45, 1 core. The cheapest one you can get in Azure is £8 a month. So 45 times £8 a month, and they're serving 20 to 40,000 active connections. So the first number is how many unique IPs are connected. The second one is how many socket connections they have, because if you have our website open in 2 tabs, then you have 1 IP, but you've got 2 socket connections, because I need to stream data to you on both of them. And then the third number, the one that's close to 1 million, is how many coin pairs they're watching. So some of them might be watching Bitcoin USD, but there are so many weird cryptocurrencies. And yeah, they're doing 25 gigabytes per minute on the bandwidth side. Then, yeah, some random interesting things about us. I was planning on just doing a general overview and then doing a longer Q&A if you have questions about how we scaled, what we struggled with. So yeah, we bought our domain for 2 Bitcoins in 2015. It was really cheap. It was £500 then. Now it's a lot more expensive. We did better for our investors than if they had invested in Bitcoin. It was a really small company. It was only 3 of us for 2 years. And without Umbraco, honestly, I don't know how we would have scaled it, because I had a lot of things out of the box, just simple to do. Now we've got almost 50 employees across Europe. We've got 10 content editors in Umbraco that are slowly adding coins and guides and all of that. Yeah, 600,000 portfolios and over 2 million posts and comments on the forum. Yeah, and we make money off data sales, affiliate agreements. So if you go to our website and then buy a mining contract or buy some mining hardware or go to an exchange and register, we make some money. We've got subscriptions for our portfolio, and we make money off advertising. So yeah, any questions? Thanks. Yeah?
Can you explain how your servers talk to each other to avoid, like you would say that
Yes, on the API. It's more on the node side. So it's to do with rate limiting. So when you hit one of, they all have an open connection between them. I've got a message broker in the middle. I have a slide for this. So, can't really see it, but it's basically that side that behaves as a message broker. So they all send messages to that saying this IP or this user has hit me, and then it gets passed back to all of them so they can all increase the limit of that IP. When a price changes, rather than having caching and the API actually going to somewhere in a database, Redis or Postgres, to get the latest updated price, they're actually connected to a streamer. So as soon as an update comes in, I can stream the update directly to the server, and then I can just serve that. So they're similar to streaming servers, but just over REST, I guess. So they haven't, to answer your question, they have a common message broker they all connect to. They all pass messages between each other through that message broker. It's load balanced. It's actually two message brokers, and they're split into multiple things. But they all connect to one thing, and then they all listen to updates on different currency pairs. Any other questions about? Yeah?
You mentioned a few minutes ago that the difficulty in doing the social side of it. If you were to go back now, would you utilize any other services, or would you do it the same way to own all the...
Oh, definitely. I still do it in Umbraco because it took probably a few weeks of doing all the forum stuff. It took longer to do the Angular side than the Umbraco side. It's just a table and then some logic on top of the table. The biggest issue was monitoring it. So I definitely do a lot more monitoring, a lot more admin tools for our forum and content managers. They're all nice and they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart. I'd hire someone to start with for that. And then I build a really good dashboard where they can see what's coming in, maybe on the reviews, even though it sounds weird and it's another process to add in, somebody manually reviewing all the reviews. Generally, there aren't that many reviews. So rather than, as soon as you do the review, it appears on the website, you have another stage where a human looks at it and goes, okay, this is a decent review, or this isn't a decent review. But that creates other complications, right? Because you might actually delete something that's valid. So I don't know what the answer for that is. I don't think Facebook or Twitter know how to moderate properly. But my takeaway from that is, if you really, really think you need it, then do it, but be aware that it will come with downsides, and you'll spend a lot more time than you expected just managing it. There are tools like Discuss, I guess, that can help you offload some of that. I haven't used them because I didn't know how to integrate it, basically. And I thought we had more flexibility if we did it ourselves.
I don't know if there is, but did you explore any kind of cloud service for the spam side of things, or automated, like rate limiting and kind of detection of that stuff? Or
so I looked at I looked at rate limiting and spam. They were pretty expensive. So to get, so we're over 2 million now, probably 3 million. Forum posts and comments and all the stuff on the forum, they were pretty expensive. So it would have cost us, if you have money, definitely. If you don't have a lot of money, the worst thing that can happen is you'll have to deal with spam, which is a nice thing as well, because then your service is needed and appreciated. If you're small and you don't generally have to deal with spam. So there was Cloudflare that did rate limiting, but it turned out to be pretty expensive. We looked at it for the API as well before rolling our own. There were a few more tools I looked at, but they generally came in between 5 and 1K a month if you wanted it done properly. And yeah. Maybe it would have been better now in hindsight to just outsource it. Probably the same with the users, because you can use things like services like Auth that will handle all your user stuff. Unless you have really specific requirements, we wanted to build portfolios and other things and be dynamic. It might be better to just offload it to something else. Yeah?
Instead of virtual machines, would you consider using app service?
We looked at app services. We looked at Docker and Kubernetes as well. The only reason why we have virtual machines is because app services weren't a thing in 2014 when I started it. Or they were a thing, but they didn't work that well. They were recently added by Azure, and everybody was complaining about them. It's probably a lot better now, because I'm pretty sure Umbraco Cloud uses something similar for their stuff. It works with virtual machines, and it would be a bit of a cost to move it away to app services in terms of development to make sure everything scales okay. Yeah, I wouldn't be against it, as long as somebody comes. I'll do some research, but I wouldn't be against it. The only reason why we have it this way is because this is how we started. And it was just me. Cool. Any other questions?
Yeah, where can we get free Bitcoin?
Ooh. Yeah, we can switch to cryptocurrency questions.
Send it to Elon Musk.
Yeah, definitely not on Twitter. You can mine yourself on your computer. It won't be. You feel like you're doing something, but you won't get any money out of it. Your electricity is going to be more expensive than what you're making. There were a lot of faucets, they were called, where they would give away free Bitcoin. I remember Gavin, when he came to London a few times, Gavin Anderson, one of the developers for the Bitcoin Core project a while back. And he was giving away Bitcoin because he had a lot from the early days. So I think I got my first Bitcoin from him at a random meetup in London in 2013, when it was still not expensive. You can. There are a few services where you can get paid in Bitcoin online for your work, especially if you're a developer. It's not free because you have to work for it. You can't really get free stuff. Yeah, I know. Trying to answer at least. But yeah, definitely not on Twitter. And generally about the cryptocurrency space as a whole, it's a lot closer to gambling than investment. So if somebody tells you invest in this, they probably bought the thing before they told you and they want it to go up. So there was a thing going on now about Initiative Q, which is really dodgy and weird. It's just a pyramid scheme. There are so many pyramid schemes in crypto. So if you want to get involved, just put in £5-10. Do the safe, stable way. Open a Coinbase account or another big exchange. Buy a bit. If it goes to 0, you've lost £10. If it goes to 100, you've gained £10, maybe. Don't put your life savings into it. I've been saying this all along, ever since we started. It worked. Some people did well, even though they didn't listen to me in 2017. But it's scary. It's gambling. It's not investing. If you've got a gambling personality, do not get close to it, because you will lose more than you make. Cool. Thank you. I guess I'll be around, and ask me any questions.